Nice, straightforward question at this point in time. Purpose. How do we find our life purpose? I think if we try to manage this in a effective way to begin with, like, why do we even need a purpose, like, at all as men?
I know that back in 2019, I was really questioning my purpose and my value in life. And it wasn't from a place where I wanted to end everything, but I was just lost, like utterly lost. I'd changed careers about every 4 years throughout my adulthood. Really felt a lack of identity and purpose and meaning. And I was just thinking, what do I do? Like, where do I go? You know, it's such a big question to ask, isn't it? Like, what's the purpose or meaning of my life? Thankfully, I had a partner that supported me through 8 months no work. You know, we relied on his income, and I managed to take some time out to connect with my friends, my old managers, my old work colleagues to ask, I need some feedback here. I need something because I can't see it in myself. Please, can you give me some feedback on who you think I am, or what value you think I have, or why you're my friend? I just had to ask them those questions because I couldn't see it for myself at that time. I was honestly just so lost. And from those people, they were saying, look, you've got this quality, you've got that quality. And funnily enough, a friend had been trying to convince me to become a counsellor for 2 years. And I thought, no, I can't do that. There's no way I can do that. I'll just take people's problems on too much. I'll care too much. I feel quite deeply other people's emotions and traumas that they go through. But then through this period of 8 months, like no work and questioning everything, I really started to think, well, maybe I'll start tentatively looking at it. So I signed up for the first course, 10 weeks, and really enjoyed it. Signed up for the next one. Before you know it, a year's passed. Signed up for the next one. Another 2 years have passed. And I'm qualified as a counsellor. And I was like, holy fuck. It's like all of a sudden 4 years have passed. And it's from listening to my friends and trusting in my friends and my family and my partner, and meeting you, meeting Billy, meeting Razwan, and just the way that you guys held me and witnessed me in my vulnerability and just my lack of not knowing what I should be doing, but having some desire to help people and to connect with men and to provide spaces for men where we can explore these things. And you were absolutely fundamental in that, Anger. You really, really were.
Thank you. It's a journey, because there's a pressure to really know, okay, I need to know my purpose, so then I can do X or Y or Z. So then I can impact the world in this way. From hearing your story there's a sense of it evolves and involve. There's an emerging aspect in that. There's a curiosity and courage in the, fuck, I don't know. Let me ask people that I care about what they see in me that I don't see maybe in myself. I have a bogey in myself, I'm not going to know. No matter how self-aware I am, no matter how much cognitive bias training I have a bogey, I have a bogey. You have to tell me, bro, you're showing there. You've got something on display, right? So the courage that you display there and the questions that you ask, it's really brave. And I guess even the word purpose, there's almost like, in the word purpose is equals use. You know, what's my use in society? And then as men, there's this pressure to go, okay, I need to be of use to society, to my family, to the workplace. If I'm not of purpose or of use, equals I'm not useful at all. So what's the fucking point in living if I'm not useful at all? Because I've been there in terms of questioning. Okay, what is the point of this whole ticking all the boxes? And then what? I'm still not happy. It's still not meaningful. It's still not, I guess, in some way, on a deeper level of myself, I don't feel aligned and congruent in the movement of life and the direction that how I'm navigating myself and the things that I'm doing in the world. And it takes one to be lost and be okay in a space of being lost, to know and be found again, to find that purpose. And spaces like the retreats that we run is really a safe space to really explore. Fuck, I don't know what my purpose is. That's okay. You know, it's the start of a journey, especially in the transitions of different chapters of life. You know, from teenager to adulthood, not having a partner, having a partner to having kids. And then the transition from toddlers, children, teenagers, they leave the house, they leave the roost, they become adults themselves, and then there's a loss of meaning and purpose. I am a dad, but not anymore in the way I was needed in the past. And then they get to another transition of purpose where, shit, I've done my service into the world, where I've contributed, I've created this, I've done this, and then now I'm approaching this retirement, you know, with some of my clients in the executive coaching is about what does meaningful retirement look like, you know. If there's a loss of purpose, if you look at the research of dementia, men usually get it first, right? The age that men get dementia is 65. So that's the time that we retire our purpose in life, which is contribution and work, and then we can just arrive and chill the fuck out and do what we want, and then we lose that cognitive ability, and then what?
And there's so much in that, and it all roots down to this feeling of lostness. And I think in the first place, which is, if you're feeling lost, then this is where the purpose of values comes in to begin with. When we're trying to find this big life purpose, at the very least, at that point in time, our purpose is just to not feel as lost. Yeah. Like that's all it needs to be at that point in time. We don't have to think about this enormous cosmic scale. How do I save the world? It's how do I just find something which is better than what I've currently got at this point in time? And then once we get out of that feeling of lostness, it's almost like this psychic haze lifts, and we can start to see things a little bit clearer. And then from there, then we can start to consider another purpose and another purpose. And when especially a lot of men ask this question, what is my life purpose? They're asking the biggest possible question, giving themselves typically a few minutes to figure it out, and then hating themselves when they can't actually figure it out, without realizing that you've not only got one purpose. Like you're not a machine that was built to do this one thing. Like you are a complex being in a complex system with other complex beings. What's going to be expected of you in a healthy way is different things at different times. So if anyone is thinking, oh, what's my life purpose at 20 and what's my life purpose at 60, you're probably going to come up with different answers. And that's good. That's normal. That's to be expected. So if anyone is listening to this and thinking, like, I don't know what my purpose is, add in the extra word, I don't know what my purpose is, now. Exactly, you beat me to it, and it's exactly what it is what do I need to do now, not forever, not what's my transcendental purpose, what has the divine put me on earth for. It's just no, if I can't be a full fire at this point in time, but I can see a spark within an ember, how do I fan the flame of that ember so that it can start to ignite the rest of the fire at that point in time? Then once the fire is lit and other people are using it for warmth, then we can start to consider a much bigger purpose. But for now, this is just like a little coal in the corner, which is just flickering it's mainly black, but it's flickering that little bit of red. And we need to nurture that flame at that point in time, so that when it becomes bigger, then we can do something with the fire that it's created. And stop thinking you're the full fire, like for helping the full tribe, when at this point in time, you're just that little tiny ember. One's not better than the other, they're just different levels.
And I think that's so key as well, isn't it? We sometimes think of ourselves having to have this big purpose, this big meaning to our family, our friends, our children, our parents, society, community, our job. And it's like, that's not why we were born. Like, we were born simply for us to exist. Like, we're not born for somebody else. We're not born to be a job or a cog in a machine. We're here for ourselves, but we're not taught that. We're constantly taught to be here for somebody else, and it's like, it's okay for us exactly as we are to be enough. It doesn't need to be more than that. Like, it's enough for us to simply be exactly as we are. But again, because of all these outside messages that we have of you need to get this, you need to have this job, this car, this, sleep with this many people, have this amount of status in society, be seen to be doing all these things. It's like, holy crap. We're just so overwhelmed and bombarded with external messages that we aren't given the time or space simply to figure out our values or to figure out who we are.
There's a shame and guilt around thinking about myself first, The story of selfishness. I can't be selfish. I need I need to have a grand vision. I need to help save the world. You want to make a lot of money? Go bloody make a lot of money. That's everybody. We all have sovereignty of choice in our life to really choose and decide how we spend this precious life that we have, you know. And there's a feeling of shame and guilt for some people around. Okay, I'm not contributing enough. Okay, contribute more. I am contributing too much. I'm doing too much charity work. I need to think about myself more. So there's this kind of tension in some way, and what you mentioned there before, the evolving aspect of purpose, where sometimes we can be doing too much externally, or sometimes we can be doing too much internally, and thinking ourselves too much, for me anyway, and of myself, and then really adjusting in that. I love dancing, so it's almost like a real dance around, okay, where do I stand in this moment of my life, in this chapter of my life? Where is the edge of my comfort zone where this is uncomfortable for me, and really push past that tension and barrier, and trust that in the movement forward of the unknown, something will emerge. For better or for worse, it's an experience.
Absolutely. I think with all of this as well, it's just noticing that when we talk about this idea of life purpose and this idea of tension, there's this wonderful word called a hold-on. It's from this work of Ken Wilber, but amongst other people as well. And then the idea is a hold-on is a whole in itself, but it's also a part of something else. So if we look at the idea of like a word in a sentence, the word is complete on its own, but it takes on even more of a purpose in a bigger context. Same with a sentence, same within a paragraph, then within a chapter, within a book. And you can break it all the way down to like an individual letter. No one's going to argue that a letter is more or less important than a book. They're both needed, they've both got different purposes, they both serve different purposes. So as a human being, we've got to try to think about it as, how can I be whole in myself? And in that situation, learn to appreciate that and learn to accept that and learn to celebrate that. But also, when I've focused so much on that side of my personality, realizing that I'm not the only person that exists and I'm not the most important one. So what's this other aspect of me which I can then that can start to emerge from me? And that's where the idea of the community might start to come in at that point, where once I know that I am enough and once I know that I am fulfilled, then what's the overflow of that? Once my cup is filled, how can I, from that, be able to fill the cups of others? It doesn't have to be that I lose so that you win, which is what a lot of men can fall victim to quite easily, which is this almost like martyrdom. It's, for me to achieve, I need to lose so that I can give to somebody else. And it's based on just improper thinking. It's this idea that, yeah, I have two joint parts to myself. I am Billy, but I'm also one part of Men's Retreats UK. I've got a purpose in myself, I've got a purpose within the company. Not one purpose is better than the other, but if I was unsure about either of them, I would then start to feel lost, and then I'd start to go into a bit of a negative spiral. It's understanding that I don't need to consider the purpose of a life overall, or what it is to be a man. It's just understanding it on its small scale, and then stepping up from there.